like the color?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I have a dress just like that. Brings out my eye.
Yeah.
Did you do any cat layers?
No.
Okay.
I don't think
And
put him in.
You're gonna vacuum so you don't have to get too crazy.
Yeah, I do have to pedal that.
We don't want to.
Yeah, put them in like clusters of 3, so they look kind of natural.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah. I've gotten fussed at enough in previous times, in 35 years. Oh my God. A whole bunch of fussing.
Good evening. Thank you all so much for inviting me. It's a lovely evening. And of course, all of the flowers in the room are just absolutely gorgeous. You all do such wonderful work, and you have so much to be proud of. Have a good evening.
George, I just want to say congratulations on everything that you've done. I'm very proud of you, and I just want to say thank you for everything, and you really are very, very important to me and my family, and I just want to say thank you. And again, I'm very proud of you, and congratulations on everything that you've accomplished.
Congrats on 35 wonderful years, George. It's a pleasure working with you.
Happy anniversary, my friend. You know, love is forever, and I love you forever. Happy anniversary.
Can you guys hear me? At this time, I want to get Doug on the mic first to give the welcome remarks.
you so much for coming. I'm Doug Lindamood, and I had the privilege to put this party together tonight for George's, and especially for George. 35 years ago, I turned 19, and my generous parents gave me a new car. And I drove from Philpott Lake and came to Roanoke one night for the movies, and decided afterwards to go out to a dance club. And I'd never really been to a dance club before, and I'm standing at the edge of the floor, and somebody taps me on the back, and I looked around, and there was a very handsome, very tall, very polite young man who asked me to dance. And at that time, I didn't really have a goal, a life goal, or a passion for anything, and I very quickly learned that he did, that flowers and plants were really what he lived, breathed, and ate. And it was infectious. I became infected by that love of those things as well. And it's hard to believe that 35 years later, here I am standing on the stage welcoming all of you to our 35th anniversary of George's An Affair with Flowers, and ultimately George's Flowers. So with that said, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce my best friend and my boss, George Clements. And if I could have George's father, Leroy, up on the stage with us, and also Lee Garrett, please.
Wow. Wow. This is so amazing. When I thought about having this party for the shop, I thought, we can pull it off. It'll be a lot of fun. And this September has been a super busy month for us. I did a wedding last weekend for my partner, Hunter's brother, in Waynesboro, Virginia. And I don't do complete weddings at the shop much anymore, but this was one I would have to pretty much be there from start to finish. And then this week would start and we would be preparing for this party. So, wow. I thank you for sharing this with myself and all the George's family tonight. Thank you, thank you. I'm joined on the stage by three people that have been with George's when we landed on Church Avenue back in 1982. And so they've been there the whole time with me, and they've been the reason for our success and the driving force behind the business. Lee Garrett, I met when I would be fortunate enough to purchase the old Nobles Flowers building that was on Church Avenue and was still operating at that time. And Lee and just one other person was running the place with a delivery driver. And I would walk in, and all of a sudden she would have to meet some new people, Doug and myself and my mom and dad, and we would sort of take over and blend our business into that. I had a business that was also operating in Salem at that time, and that store would sort of close, and so that we could just handle, so we could all be in the same building. But so Lee's been there the whole time. I think that's an amazing accomplishment. We work in sometimes a very stressful, high-paced business that a lot of people don't realize. We can have some trying times in getting the flowers to behave. Or any other number. So Lee's been there, and I couldn't be here without her tonight. And then this fine-looking gentleman here is my dad. George Clements, and he's been there since like day one, like beginning time one, and he has always throughout my life supported me in whatever endeavors I had. And I had a few other businesses before this flower shop called George's and Fair with Flowers and George's Florist. I had a little greenhouse business and a plant business. And he was there doing things for me from day one with that also. And both he and my mom. And they're the real reason that I'm here today. And just so happens that this date is my dad's birthday. He's a very young 82, and I am so hoping that I got all of those good genes. And then the gentleman on the end is Doug Lindamood, and he has been the other driving force for George's Flowers for so many years. We have had an amazing story together. We have been through so many changes in our business, and we have we've certainly been through a very, very rough time. And after our fire, we were reopened, I believe within 48 hours, which is an amazing accomplishment. But Doug planned all of this tonight, and from the lighting to the room layout and the colors. And I just, this is a dream come true party. Last night, was having a little difficulty sleeping, and I decided to get on that Pinterest stuff, which I don't do that stuff, but Hunter's mother occasionally sends me things and I'll look, and so I started looking at like extravagant parties and so on, and I saw some, I was like, wow, yeah, that's really nice, wow, man, that's really nice. But this by far could just be right up there, and lots of people would be going, wow. So thank you, Doug. And to the rest of the Georgia staff, Doug had some assistants here today. Samantha, Rob, who came all the way in from DC. He took off from work to come help with this party for us. And I so appreciate him doing that. Corey, Kate, those were all people here during the setup today. And so they helped get all of this in here and place all these beautiful flowers. So they did a great job. The rest of the Georgia staff is at the shop trying to do a Friday's business and trying to complete that by noon or 1 p.m. at the latest. And we don't get to close very many days, but we thought this was one of the days when it was special enough that we would have to say, hey, we can't do anything else for today. We don't hope that didn't inconvenience anyone too bad, but I do appreciate everyone that worked at the shop, keeping us going and rolling all through the day. So George's Flowers, again, first got started in Salem, Virginia. I had been going to Radford University, and I had a friend, and she, during my sophomore year, she said, you should come to Virginia Beach and work with my dad has a friend who owns a flower shop. And so I called the guy, and because I like flowers and plants, and the guy said, yeah, you can come apprentice with me. And so I did that, and I would only do it for a month, so it wasn't like the whole summer. But one of the things was I thought I would be going to the beach a lot. And being a sophomore in college, I thought, well, yeah, that's going to be a fun time. But this gentleman worked me. He introduced me to big events. He introduced me to the Jewish community, which I was not so familiar with growing up in West Salem and Glenver. So, you know, all of a sudden I started seeing some very, very large events and things. And this man was, he was pretty much known all over the country. He actually did shows. He was very well known. And so he sort of gave me those first, you know, training steps in design. And so that's where, but I would come back and open up my shop in Salem. I would not finish Radford. I would tell my parents that I knew what I wanted to do. And my grandfather owned a mobile home business in Salem. And it was right on West Main Street, far west in the Glenver section. And he had a home on the property and a brick home, and I opened my first shop in there. My dad and my grandfather and some other helpers, we constructed a cooler inside of a room with a glass window, and that was our very first refrigerator. And it was pretty much a two-person operation. I got lucky and I met an older woman who didn't want to work so much for the flower shop she was working for. And she offered to come work for me, and she shared all of her years of wisdom. And her name was Grace Weaver. And she taught me a lot about design and certainly about how to make flowers last and how to make pretty bows. And she helped my business quite a bit, and we made it through a little close to our first year anniversary. And I was lucky enough to come across the sale of Noble's flowers, and with help from my parents, able to buy that building and that existing business, and that's how we got there. One of those days, though, in Salem, I picked up the phone late in the afternoon, and I usually did the deliveries. So this was a day when I had come all the way back to West Salem, and I was gonna have to go back to Roanoke with another delivery. But the phone rang, and picked it up, and on the other end, the lady said, "Hi, this is Casey Branch, and I live in Old Southwest, and I've got some friends coming over, and I want to buy some plants for my apartment tonight, for my husband and I's apartment." So I thought, wow, I need the sale. I need the sale. So I talked to her. I thought, wow, she sounds fun. I'm going to enjoy meeting Casey Branch. And I loaded up those plants. I drove the van to her house, to her apartment. And I met her and some friends of hers there. And we hit it off. We had a great time talking, and she paid me for the plants. And I told her, I said, you know, I want to live in Old Southwest. I love all these old homes, and I just want to live in a place where we have a park and we can walk around. And she says, great, there's an apartment that's going to open up downstairs. And I'm lucky enough because I got to sublet it. And the lady that was doing it, she actually helped me a little bit with the rent because I really couldn't afford that amount, and she helped me for about 6 months with it, so that was a special thing. But anyway, so I would meet Karen, and now I would have a new friend and new friends with her husband, Mike, and I would be living in the place I wanted to live, and I would have this person that would introduce me and help promote my business, you know, talking me up, and so from that one sale that day, I had no idea that 35 years later how valuable that sale would be. I've known them from from those days. And Doug and Lee and my dad and my mom have known their family and vice versa. And we've been through all the good times and the bad times. I've experienced that through flowers with them and also on a personal level. And there is nothing on a balance sheet that can show the value of the wealth that I got that day I picked up that telephone. And I said, I'm going to make this sale. So Mike and Karen are over here tonight, standing right there. And the other thing that I got lucky on was when I was a kid, my childhood was a little different, I think, certainly than my friends in school. Every day when I got off the school bus, I was let off in front of a small business. It was a mobile home sales that was owned by my grandfather. And I would walk into his office with my book bag and usually throw my book bag over in the corner in my mom's part of the office because she was the bookkeeper. And from about the age of 7, I started answering the phone and taking messages for my grandfather and for other people. I would make sure the mobile homes were locked up at night. I would assist people with asking when they asked the price. And at age 13, I get lucky enough to talk to a park ranger who showed up with his bride. And he was in his park ranger uniform and came up, and I was the only one there. And I showed him a mobile home, and he talked to him about it. And before he left, he'd give me a deposit. So I made the sale. So my childhood was a little bit different, I think. There were times when I remember sometimes I would be a little embarrassed, like if a new friend from school, if they wanted to come to my house, because I was like, I lived behind the business, and I faced that business every day. And like I said, I went to the office, but in that office I interacted with the maintenance guy, and of course my grandfather and my father and mother, and the customers. And I learned, a whole lot about business. Plus, I had a grandmother who, there's, I believe, a frame out there with the first dollar. A grandmother who, when I was about the age of, I believe I'm 8, we started having a little plaster of Paris business, and we make little figurines, and I run into beauty shops and sell them, and then run back and get in the car, and we go make more, and then we go back out. And she's very generous. She shares that money with me generously. But there's a frame out there with the dollar from one of those first sales. But anyway, sorry, I got it. So anyway, growing up in that business, when I would open my business, I had a whole lot of extra skills that put me ahead. So one of the coolest things that's happened in this 35 years is there's a young man walking around here tonight. His name is Jackson, and he's the son of Gary and Lindsay Kent, who Lindsay takes care of everything and making sure that we pay our bills and we get paid and that we have money to have a party like this. So, but Lindsay brings Jackson in to the shop during his summer holiday time, and sometimes occasionally, but I can't tell you when you're George and you walk out and you see Jackson talking to a customer or helping Carrie with flowers, sweeping, wondering where the Swiffer is. But I just hope that while he visits Georgia's flowers, that he gets that help him in his future endeavors. So that I'm very thankful for these 35 years. So
Again, thank you all. I appreciate it so much.
George, Mike and I love you so much, and we've been together for a long, long time, and we have shared our ups and downs, and you are so right that there is just no monetary amount that can be put on the value of friendship. I love you a lot.
Happy anniversary, George. We love you.
Happy anniversary, George. I've been with you a long time, from Church Avenue until today. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Hey George, happy 35th anniversary of George's Affair with Flowers, George's Flowers.